We are on number 6 in the series called Light is Everything, and this one's about His presence. Have you ever known anyone that lights up the room when they arrive? Maybe it's the way they dress that's bold and colorful, or it's a smile on their face that attracts everyone, or maybe they're just a joyful person to be around. And their conversation is light and kind, and that's what we're referring to here, the light of presence, but it's His presence that brings light. Psalm 89 says that those who have learned to acclaim Him, who walk in the light of His presence, are blessed. Not only are they blessed, but they rejoice in His name all day, and they celebrate righteousness and find glory and strength in His name. So, the light of His presence, we look at acclamation, rejoicing, and celebration. These are 3 things that are the way to experience the light of His presence. Do you recall the last verse of the hymn, How Great Thou Art? It says, when Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation. When's the last time you used that word in a sentence? For me, it's the last time I sang that song. Acclamation is a loud expression of approval. So in order to experience the light of His presence, we must learn to acclaim Him. Not necessarily screaming and shouting, although some love to do that, but in our hearts and in the way we honor Him. Back to the person that arrives at a party and lights up the room. It's often a person of honor or prestige or charisma, we might call it today. Thunderous applause erupts when someone famous enters a room or says something stirring in a speech or shows up unexpectedly. Maybe the way we learn to acclaim Him is to bow before Him in honor or stand and rise when He enters the room of our hearts, which He does when we open the door. So if we want to walk in the light of His presence, it begins with the thunderous applause of who He is and what He's done for us. Light is everything. The second part of experiencing the light of His presence is to rejoice in His name all day. So what in the world does that look like? What does His name embody for us? To rejoice in His name is to know His character, His authority, His goodness, His faithfulness. When we meet with our grandkids in our garage, we have what's called a gym night. It's in the garage with Ella and Mister. And we focus on one character of God each time, and I'm convinced that knowing the character of God keeps us standing in the fiercest of storms because the light of who He is shines in the darkest of times. So rejoicing in His name all day might look like awakening to pain or difficulty and smiling at the thought that God's with us and has us. It might look like dancing or skipping during the day when we catch a glimpse of His light in the heavens, or feel His presence near, or look at the light of His presence in the faces of our children. It might end the day with thanksgiving as we rejoice that He was with us all day because He never leaves us. And the third part of experiencing the light of His presence is celebrating His righteousness. Psalm 90 says He sets our secret sins in the light of His presence. Have you ever celebrated the fact that you're made clean in His sight by His righteousness alone? In other words, we can celebrate the fact that He was our substitute for our sins, the light of His presence dispelled the darkness, and we proclaim His holy character. We often give thanks for God's provision, His healing, His acts of kindness, but what about celebrating His holiness? To experience the light of His presence, it might look like these giving thanks for His righteousness that is ours, as we live justly, offer mercy, and give generously. Light is everything, and the light of His presence is something to be noticed. We want to sit near the person that lights up the room, and we're sad when they leave because the party dies down. We want to be like that person that brings light in their conversation and the way they live. And when someone lights up the room, man, we're sure to invite them again. So acclaim, rejoice, and celebrate the light of His presence because light is everything.